Acts 23 starts off with Paul speaking to a council. This council was made up of Pharisees, Sadducees, and the high priest. And there was so much hostility in the room. Look at what verse 1 and 2 say. And looking intently at the council, Paul said, "Brothers, I have lived my life before God in all good conscience up to this day." And the high priest Ananias commanded those who stood by him to strike him on the mouth. Paul didn't get very far before he was actually attacked, but he was able to find a way to pin the Pharisees and the Sadducees against each other, so the attention actually went off of him and onto them. And then look at what happens in verse 10. And when the dissension became violent, the tribune, afraid that Paul would be torn to pieces by them, commanded the soldiers to go down and take him away from among them by force and bring him into the barracks. But I really want to focus on verse 11 that says this: "The following night the Lord stood by him and said, 'Take courage, for as you have testified to the facts about me in Jerusalem, so you must testify also in Rome.'" So God was letting Paul know that he sees Paul in all of his affliction, and he's actually in all of it with him. And he's saying that what you've done now is amazing, and don't worry about dying because I still have more for you in Rome. The chapter continues with more than 40 Jews committing to an oath to not eat or drink until they kill Paul. That group of Jews went to the high priests and elders and told them about this plan to kill Paul and how they wouldn't eat or drink until he was dead, and they wanted these leaders to get in on their plan and help them actually see it through. Paul's nephew actually heard all of this and got in front of the tribune and told them what was going to happen. Look at what verse 23 says. "Then he called 2 of the centurions and said, 'Get ready 200 soldiers with 70 horsemen and 200 spearmen to go as far as Caesarea at the 3rd hour of the night.'" And verse 24 says this: "Also provide mounts for Paul to ride and bring him safely to Felix the governor." From the outside looking in, it wouldn't look like God has his hands in this because Paul is being abused. And so many people think that when you accept Jesus, you just receive peace. And that's very true. You do receive peace, but not in the way most people think about it. When people think of peace, they think just easygoing, no problems. But the peace that he offers us is actually just a stillness in the chaos. Yes, God has good things for you, but he also has trials, tribulations, and testing of our faith. So I pray this video encourages you to seek God in the chaos as opposed to just asking him to spare you from it. And that is truly where you will find yourself the closest to him. Because the mountaintops are great, but in our human minds, there's much less of a need for God when everything's going great. But when you're walking through that valley and you need God desperately, that is where you actually grow closest to him. So maybe the reason God is actually sending you through that valley is to get you closer to him and not to punish you. Because look at what it says in Isaiah 55 verses 8 and 9. "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." So I pray this video encourages you to ask God for his perspective, and I will see you tomorrow for day 24, where we will learn just a little bit more about who the Holy Spirit is, why his power matters, and how it applies to you. God bless.